June 28th, 1954. And I said, wow, that's my birthday. The exact month, the exact day, and the exact year. And I looked at him and I said, well, you must have had the same experiences then. Another Cancerian male. What a great person to share this business with. And he said something to me in that moment. He looked me directly in the eyes and he said something to me and I discounted it. I used my logic. And what he said to me was, I'm your evil twin. And he told me in that moment, and I discounted it. Because my logic said, oh, well, he's just making a joke. Although I had a feeling in here. The moment the gentleman moved onto my property to caretake for me in exchange for him living there, I had a feeling about him being there, and I discounted that feeling through my logic. I said, oh, Greg, you don't really even know that man. Well, that's precisely the point. You don't even know him. Why would you judge him? The moment that I began spending serious time with the potentially romantic relationship in my life, I had a feeling. And my logic said, oh, that's the feeling that you had from the last time you got hurt. So let's give this one a chance. And the reason I'm sharing this with you now is because in each of these there was a feeling that told me right up front. And there was more than one lesson that happened here. And I've shared this with other people, and it's been a powerful trigger for them. It's a lesson I didn't care for at the time. The week that I recognized the pattern of judgment, the week that I recognized that each of these people was masterfully mirroring for me the things that I judged in life, every other relationship that was held in place by judgment began to disappear. There's a cascading effect. And I share this with you now because I know that it works this way. If you are experiencing a pattern in one place in your life, it'll show up in other places in your life. And once it is healed, once it's reconciled in one place, it is healed everywhere simultaneously because we are holographic in nature. Our consciousness works that way. It is mirrored on many, many different levels. Well, the gentleman who had offered to do the business with me, that relationship didn't work well at all. And I felt like I gave it ample opportunity. And the reality is it did work well, and I just didn't know what it was showing me. It worked perfectly as my mirror. So one day I called this gentleman and I said, I'm not going to work with you any longer. And I hung up the phone. There's more to it than that. I'm making a long story short. I hung up the phone, and as I did, I realized that every program and every source of income that I had for the next 6 months, I had just canceled. As my hand was on the phone, that was on a Saturday afternoon. So I had the rest of Saturday and all of Sunday to think about it. Sunday night, there was a message on my voice machine from a woman I had never met before, who through mutual friends had heard about these workshops, and she asked me to call her, and I did. And she said, I'm interested in sponsoring you and setting up programs for you around the country. Would you be interested in working with me? And the first thing I asked her, I said, well, when's your birthday? She said, June 28th, 1954. True story. And my first reaction was to hang up the phone, and I didn't do it. And I shared with her, I said, let me tell you a story. And I shared with her this story, and she said, well, would you be willing to give this a chance? This time, I paid attention to the way that I felt, and it felt different. Something was different. And I said, yes, I'd like to do this with you. If you know her, now she's a seminar coordinator and does workshops in her own right, and now an author of a couple of different books. Her name is Joanne Carl Cornog, if you've ever done any work with Joanne Cornog. And because I did not allow the first relationship to taint the second, because I was able to trust the feeling and really know what the feeling was saying, we've had a very powerful relationship, and it was through her that I met Melissa. So it's interesting how these things work out. Through that mirror, that second mirror of judgment, I was shown the things that I have the greatest charges on in my life. I was shown the mirror of that which I judge in the moment rather than that which I was in the moment. And I learned the powerful lesson of discernment, of trust. And it was a relatively inexpensive lesson compared to what came next, because immediately after that I began dealing with publishers and contracts and things like that. And through my powers of discernment, I averted what could have been some serious problems in that way. So I'll invite you, look in your life at the people that you hold most dear, because that's the magnet. That's the magnet. It may be love, it may be that they're family and you don't have any choice. The people that you hold most dear, and then look at the characteristics that they exhibit that just push your buttons right and left. And ask yourself this question: are they showing me in the moment? And if you honestly say the answer to that is no, then ask yourself the question: are they showing me that which I judge in the moment? And you may be surprised at what you find.